Rejoice in starting over. I am a busy bee today, trying to get caught up for this semester. And this is my Pillars of Two, Pillars of Leadership 2, the fire that consumes and consecrates. I think you can tell I wrote these out and then realized we weren't going to, you need an activation. An upload. I don't like these glasses. They're distracting me. All right. We must not be full of ourselves if we are to be abandoned to God. It's not about us. It is not about us. It's about God. His consuming fire burns away our chaff and brings us to a balanced place in Him. We must be willing to surrender all, but this does not mean that we must do all. I believe that we're supposed to come to a place of balance in the Lord, in that people get stuck in works mentality. They really do. They become absorbed with, what can I do for the Lord? When sometimes the sooner we realize that doing for the Lord comes out of a place of knowing who we are in Him and being loved by Him, then the doing just happens, as opposed to pushing it to happen. And I've been struck lately by this. The Lord's been really teaching me that one thing is needful, and that is to sit at His feet. And so this activation would have to do with ways we can sit at the Lord's feet, if it's in serving Him or not, without works, in other words. When we worship God with full abandon, He is the one who works in us, and He is the one that gets all the glory. And then we can rest in Him. And it's in this rest that we operate from, in a place of peace and knowing that we're in His will. And we're only doing, saying, and being what God has created us to be. When we operate from that Spirit, the Holy Spirit, that place of rest and peace, the Holy Spirit is free to do what He's doing in us. If you aren't called or created to dance, you shouldn't be trying to dance. You should be worshiping Him or sitting at His feet in a way that you are called to do. And then, for me, having been called to dance and being a teacher, I believe God has called me to be a teacher too, that He will use those two things together in a place where I am coming from a peaceful place. I'll be able to teach people dance and scriptures, and God will just use it for His glory and teaching people how to worship Him and ways to sit at His feet. And worshiping for me is exactly one place to sit at Jesus' feet. So anyway, after the activation for all of this, after discussing all of this and the scriptures, I'm going to ask my team to come up with creative movements to show ways that we can sit at Jesus' feet and ways we can rest in Him. And examples might be abandoned worship, could be typing a journal page, spending time in praying in the Spirit and asking the Lord a question and writing a journal page. Could be simply sitting on a porch swing and watching the butterflies on the butterfly bush, or whatever it is. I know years and years ago, for me, it was working in my garden, pulling weeds and stuff like that. And the Lord would talk to me. He really would talk to me while I was in the garden, because I was sitting at His feet. I was worshiping Him. And so in that activation, after they would have them put some things together and act out these ways that they come up with, where they are sitting at Jesus' feet, worshiping Him in ways that bring us into that abandoned place in our spirit, that brings us to a peace and rest, because that's what God's fire brings us to. One more for tonight. Hold on.